In a rare press appearance, Sonia Gandhi, Congress leader, flanked by Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge, made a dramatic allegation today, naming the Prime Minister. She said that the BJP was systematically trying to financially cripple the Congress party. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. Amid the raging debate around electoral bonds, and remember, the State Bank of India has moments ago claimed before the Supreme Court that all data is now with the Election Commission. Amid the raging debate around these bonds and the fact that the BJP has been the biggest recipient of the money that has flowed from those bonds, came another allegation from the Congress party today. Sonia Gandhi made a rare press appearance to talk about how the bulk of the bond finances had gone to the BJP on the one hand, and on the other hand, tax notices from cases years ago were financially crippling, quote unquote, the Congress party. She and her son argued that this was an assault on democracy. Rahul Gandhi went so far as to say that this was not the freezing of accounts, but the freezing of democracy. Now, all of this is unfolding against the backdrop of the debate around electoral bonds. The Congress is arguing that it does not have a level playing field, and the absence of essential access to finances is effectively making this an election that cannot be called democratic. The BJP has hit back, saying that the desperation of imminent defeat, once again I'm quoting the party here, is reflecting in the kind of statements that have been made today. To talk about the tricky question of political financing, both the bonds and the tax notices, let's introduce our panel on the program today. We have a very distinguished panel. We have Mohan Kumaramangalam, spokesperson of the Congress. He's with us. Mohan, welcome to the program. Also with us after a long time is Professor Ashwini Mahajan. Professor Mahajan is, of course, the leader of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch, and it's good to see you, Ashwini ji, after a long time, as I said. Also joining us is Vineet Goenka. We know him as a familiar face on our political debates. Welcome back to the program, Vineet. And also joining us is Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, who's been a veteran IPS officer and has been tweeting quite bluntly on political financing and the entire debate around electoral bonds. I'm going to get the ball rolling by actually playing out what Sonia Gandhi said. It's not typical for her to appear at a press conference, a joint press meet with her son and Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president, even rarer. This is what she said as she named, in fact, the Prime Minister. Take a look.
The electoral bonds have benefited, as everyone knows, the BJP hugely, massively. On the other hand, the finances of the principal opposition party, the Indian National Congress, are under a determined assault. This, we all believe, is unprecedented and undemocratic.
Okay, so that's a big statement from Sonia Gandhi there. Her son went much further. I'll give Mohan Kumaramangalam the floor first. Mohan, the fact is that the Congress party has also received money from electoral bonds, right? We now have a party-wise breakup of this money, and we'll have that slide up in a moment from now. It is not as if the Congress has stuck to some principle and said that the electoral bonds are anonymous, they're covert, we're not going to take the money. But yes, the fact is that because the BJP is seen to be the winning horse at the moment, business houses have chosen to give significantly more money to the BJP. Now you have, or rather your party has picked up the fact of the bonds, in a way juxtaposed it with the debates around the tax notice and said we're being financially crippled. What is the basis to make this argument when you have business houses who are significantly, clearly giving you less money? They're even giving the Trinamool Congress more money. Why does Sonia Gandhi name the Prime Minister? What does the Prime Minister have to do with this?
I think the Prime Minister in principle has to do with it because he was the one who promoted the electoral bond scheme and then passed it as a money bill without debate. Listen, you cannot draw any sort of quid pro quo with any of the money that Congress has gotten. Enough journalists out there now. Every day a news story comes out around one of these donors and how it's related to either a ED, IT or CBI raid that happened to them, after which they donated money to the BJP, or it's related to, now I think the most recent one that came out today was about drug and pharmaceutical companies, where in BJP ruled states like Gujarat, where Torrent Pharmaceuticals is one of the biggest buyers of electoral bonds, They had problems with the approval of their drugs and they should have been shut down, but instead were allowed to continue when they had serious violations in how they were manufacturing those drugs. So every day you find new evidence of quid pro quo in the purchase of electoral bonds for the BJP. So you can't, equate the both. As far as the income tax notices are concerned, listen, these notices, two of them now, are from 7 and 30 years ago. Almost the entire amount in the account has been put on lien. They're saying we haven't frozen the account. What does it mean when you put an amount in the account on lien that you can't withdraw that amount? 0.07% of the total money that went to account was in cash, which is just 14.4 lakhs. And there's a 210.5 crore lien. I mean, Mr. Ajay Markan today in the press conference mentioned the section of income tax. I think he said 234F, that only 10,000 rupees is the maximum penalty you can get for filing late. 115 crores was pulled out of the bank accounts already by the income tax. We just finished a money raise by our workers. And I can tell you that in a Pradesh Congress committee in Tamil Nadu, where I am, we are really reaching out every day to workers to try and get some funds because we have absolutely no money to do even the basic media purchase. And when we go to the IT Appellate Tribunal, which is a quasi-judicial body, actually the appointments of the judges in that tribunal comes under the Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions Ministry. So it's done by the government only. The normal practice is you deposit 20% of the and you're allowed to get a stay, but we don't get a stay. So you see, the entire system is being used to strangle whatever finances, whatever meager finances we have. If you hear Mr. What Vivek Tankha said after that IT Appellate Tribunal judgment, he said last year we had 800 crores. We spent 800 crores on the election. This year we have 200 and wo 200 bhi nahi kharch ho rahe. They're not even letting us touch those 200.
Okay.
Why the BJP, what is it worried about?
Okay, I have a
question.
I think it's important to separate the bonds from the tax notice. And on the bonds, you said that every day there is new evidence of quid pro quo that's coming when it comes to the BJP. The fact is, Mohan, and I've waded through all of these documents quite carefully myself, the only parties or the few parties that have released the names voluntarily of the entities that have bought bonds are DMK, AIA DMK, and the JDS, and AAP has released some limited names of entities. Your party, the BJP and the Trinamool Congress, has actually cited the anonymity principle and said we are not legally obliged to actually give to give these details, right? So technically, we're now going to sit down and match number to bond. The fact is, the Congress has also not released the names of the entities. You have taken 1,300 crores in bonds and not released the names of the entities.
Let me make it very simple for you. They already know to some extent who the entities are. Still, so that the public doesn't know, they actually influenced India's largest bank to give some sort of cockamamie reason to the Supreme Court, then got shut down, and now finally the information is going to come out. Why should we voluntarily come out? We are the principal opposition. DMK, ADMK opposing each other in Tamil Nadu. We're in alliance with one. BJP was in alliance with the other, now standing independent. So we can forget about those parties, those regional outfits, or even TMC. Congress is the principal opposition to BJP. Let BJP first come out and open and release all the information. And please, we are the opposition. There cannot be any quid pro quo with us. We don't control government contracts. We don't have any control over how to, compensate people for money they give to us. The right first is it is on the BJP first to come out with this information. I guarantee you, if they come out with voluntarily, the Congress will come out as well.
Okay, fair point.
Still a few days to get over, right? The few guys who've donated us that maybe I assume they might not know about, we don't want them to get raided now.
Okay, let me. The fact is that there's a quite clear pattern, and if we can bring up that slide, you'll be able to see that we now know, for example, that the number one buyer of bonds in the country, a man called Lottery Martin, has funded the DMK, your alliance partner Mohan, to over 77% of the bond money that it has received, and we have similar such examples. You'll be. I'm making. Chennai Super Kings has funded, CSK has funded the AIA DMK, and so on. I'm making a larger point. My larger point is just only this, that there continues to be a kind of veil of opacity, Ashwini Mahajanji, around the bonds. Only journalists are, and only some journalists are trying to go through the data and make sense of it. But Ashwini ji, I think the Congress spokesperson makes two fair points. हम तो opposition है, हम क्या quid pro offer करेंगे? Point one. Why doesn't the BJP volunteer the names of the entities, much like the DMK, the AIDMK, the JDS has done? Point two, tax notices from 30 years ago. एक 7 साल पुराना, एक 30 साल पुराना. This is why they are saying कि we are being financially choked. How do you respond to this political finance debate that has erupted into political war? Ashwini Mahajan.
Barkha ji, so far as the tax notices are concerned, it's a matter of process, and all of us, we have rights to get the legal remedies against them. And therefore, I don't want to comment. Let me tell you one thing. Even Swadeshi Jagan Manch received such notices. Once our account was also frozen. Can I say that it is because of the
When was this? Lekin
during this government, and it was the fault of our chartered accountant that he filled wrong tax form. So it so happened. So these smaller things can be taken care of, and they have the rights to get the legal remedies. So this, I'm telling you the fact. So this is one thing. Second thing is about electoral bonds. You see, why electoral bonds came into being at the first instance? They came because it was such a dirty system of collection of funding, political funding, that all cash. You don't even know from where the cash is coming and why it is coming. What is the quid pro quo? And in all these years till 2018, nobody thought of 2017, whatever the date was. Nobody thought of cleaning the system. And this government, I give full credit to this government for cleaning the system and thereby bringing in the electoral bonds. Sooner or later, the names are going to come. This is not something which is going to be hidden. It may be 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. It's not going to remain opaque like it was for the last 60, 70 years. Now, the issue is that the system of electoral bonds was brought in to clean the system. And so far as the money one is collecting, you see, they are in the government. This is one thing. But they have such a large number of legislators, such a large number of member of parliament, and such a big party. And obviously, and we know from the history of Congress, they always used to have 10 times, 15, 20 times more funds with them, always. So this party cannot really allege others that they are getting quid pro quo. Let us prove them. And in fact, the very fact that these electoral bonds were brought in, this government knew that very well that sometime in the future, the judiciary will come and they will ask for the names and they will have to tell the names then, and you have the full chance of looking into it, diving into it, finding out whether there has been.
But why do you believe as an ideological supporter of this government, but not always in agreement with it? Do you believe the BJP should volunteer the names as an example? Set an example, volunteer the names.
I don't know what is there in their mind, because I don't know their political process. And in fact, this government is politically a very active government, and they know what are the repercussions and what are not. And therefore, I think they sooner or later, in any case, the names are going to come out. And in fact, DMK should be worried because they got and TMC should be worried. Even Congress should also be worried. So what I feel is that this was an improvement over the previous system of cash collection, and I'm worried that if we follow the orders of Honorable Supreme Court in letter and spirit, may this system of cash will come back. So this is the worry which I have just mentioned in my latest articles in the print.
So you basically think that the bonds was a better system, all faults included, because you think this could mean a return to dodgy cash. And I think Mohan, some uncomfortable questions. I don't know why DMK was so gung-ho. It's curious about volunteering the names of the corporate entities that were funding it. But the pattern is quite clear. This man, Santiago Martin, 1,368 crores, of which 509 crores have gone to your alliance partner, the DMK. So I'm just wondering on what basis the Congress can claim a superior moral principle. But hang on, before I get Yashu Azad and Vineet Goenka in, Rahul Gandhi went much further than his mother today, which is not unusual, and actually attack the entire sort of democratic structure by saying if we are not going to be, we in this case being the Congress, I'm quoting him, he said, if the Congress is not going to be given the money that it needs to contest these elections, then this is the freezing of democracy. Listen it.
अगर आपने किसी परिवार का बैंक अकाउंट फ्रीज कर दिया, भूखे मर जाते हैं। वो कांग्रेस पार्टी के साथ किया जा रहा है। 1 महीने पहले ये हुआ और किसी संस्था ने, हिंदुस्तान की संस्था ने, किसी कोर्ट ने, किसी इलेक्शन कमीशन ने चूं तक नहीं कहा। सब ड्रामा देख रहे हैं। 20% हिंदुस्तान के लोग कांग्रेस पार्टी को वोट देते हैं। हम 20% लोगों को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं और आज हम रेलवे टिकट नहीं खरीद सकते। आज हम अपने नेता को एक शहर से दूसरे शहर नहीं भेज सकते। हम एडवर्टाइजमेंट नहीं लगा सकते। और क्यों? 14 लाख रुपए 7 साल पहले 14 लाख रुपए का इशू है और 200 करोड़ रुपए का फाइन, और सारे के सारे बैंक अकाउंट फ्रीज कर दिए। जब इनकम टैक्स, ये दिखाना मुझे जरा, सॉरी क्या 200 करोड़, जब इनकम टैक्स, साफ इनकम टैक्स की जो एक्ट है साफ कहता है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा 10,000 रुपए का फाइन लगेगा। तो यह है हिंदुस्तान का लोकतंत्र। यह क्रिमिनल एक्शन है कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ और हिंदुस्तान के लोकतंत्र के खिलाफ, और यह क्रिमिनल एक्शन हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री कर रहे हैं। मेरी विनती है कि जो हिंदुस्तान के इंस्टीट्यूशंस है, जो वो अपने आप को हिंदुस्तान के इंस्टीट्यूशंस मानते हैं, डेमोक्रेसी को प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं, लोकतंत्र को प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं, हिंदुस्तान के कोर्ट्स हो, हिंदुस्तान का इलेक्शन कमीशन हो, वो इसके बारे में कुछ करें। और यह कहना कि हिंदुस्तान दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी, झूठ है। यहां कोई डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है। बिगेस्ट ऑपोजिशन पार्टी का आपने बैंक अकाउंट बंद कर दिया।
यहां कोई डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है। Mr. Azad, I'll start with you, then Vineet Goenka, and then I also have a Ravi Shankar Prasad statement that I want to play. But you see, political financing is a real issue, and I don't know if any of us have good answers. I think Ashwini Mahajan raises an important question. Now that the bonds are gone, how are elections going to be funded? None of us know the answer to that, right? But alongside the bonds are now these allegations of tax notices. Ashwini Mahajan says that's just process. Hamare bhi hue hain block. As a sort of someone who's been a very senior bureaucrat in the system, what do you make of all of it?
Barkha, let me not mince my words and say at the very outset that I think that the electoral bond funding system of political funding of elections or the parties is the biggest fraud which has been played on Indian democracy. If the kind of data which has emerged, and we have got to know the kind of companies which have been buying the electoral bonds, it is ridiculous that if the entire system of electoral bond system has been rendered unconstitutional, then how are we having elections with this tainted money? In fact, I'm the one who has tweeted and very openly that how are you having these elections? I think Supreme Court should have postponed the elections and said all the parties should return this money.
But why? I'm saying, but why? Because it's not as if जो पहले पैसा आ रहा था वो बहुत साफ था. I agree with you that, by the way, 4 of the top 5 companies have been raided, scrutinized, booked by either the ED, IT or CBI at some point in the last 5 years. So I take the point about dodgy money in our elections. But पहले कौन सा साफ पैसा था, यशो सर? पहले कौन सा साफ पैसा था?
नहीं, तो पहले की बात थी कि ब्लैक मनी देते थे. आपको कैसे मालूम है कि ब्लैक बॉन्ड, ये इलेक्ट्रल बॉन्ड खरीदने के अलावा भी वो ब्लैक मनी नहीं दे रहे हैं? उस पर कोई सिस्टम चेक है? इसलिए चेक नहीं है, मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, क्योंकि आज जिस तरह की सिस्टम हमारे पॉलिटिक्स का है वो करप्शन पे ही उसकी नींव है. सवाल ये है, अगर आप रोज रैली कर रहे हैं, आप उसका कॉस्ट निकालिए, वो कहां से आता है? क्या ऐसी रैलियां रोज किसी देश में होती हैं? हर तरह से पब्लिक मीटिंग, हर तरफ से रैली, जितने पैसे खर्च होते हैं उसका पॉलिटिकल व्हील जो है वो करप्शन पे चलता है। मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूं, बिकॉज द काइंड ऑफ फंडिंग विच हैज बीन डन, the kind of exposure which has come about, forget what has happened in the last, but how are you allowing these elections with this tainted money? There is no justification. In fact, let me tell you another thing. When this was passed as a money bill, it carried on for 5 years. So for 5 years, that entire money has been very happily used. And no matter what you say earlier on it was black money and now it is electoral bond system. Why wasn't it then conceived of in a very simple way कि एक आदमी ने एक पार्टी को इतना चंदा इस दिनांक को दिया? Why this opacity? And this opacity itself has hurt the fundamental right which the Supreme Court talked about. Yes.
Okay, but very briefly, because Vineet has been waiting, is there any party that can claim a moral high ground? I mean, just because the BJP has the most amount of money doesn't mean that the others, other than the CPM, the communists, everybody has taken money. Mr. Azad, so who's different?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Your entire political activity is greased by this kind of a corruption and tainted money. What I'm saying is, you should have a system in this country where it should be absolutely open. And don't say that I'm an idealist or anything like that. These are the demands of democracy. You can't go around spending. There are people who are spending 13 crores, people who are distributing 3,000 caps. Is this a joke?
Okay.
And we are not trying to protect the system.
But in the meantime, we are locked in the horns of the familiar democracy debate. Ravi Shankar Prasad, senior leader of the BJP, is hitting back at that joint press conference between Sonia Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi. Take a look, and Vineet Goenka, I'll come to you right after that.
इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में धारा 220, धारा 221 में इस बात का पूरा प्रावधान है, कलेक्शन एंड रिकवरी 10 सेक्शन है। कैसे कलेक्शन होगा, कैसे रिकवरी होगी, सर्टिफिकेट होगा, पेनाल्टी लगेगी, मैं पढ़ नहीं रहा हूं, but there is an inbuilt mechanism, तो उसका टैक्स का प्रोसेस है। आईटीओ ने नहीं किया तो आप अपील में जाएंगे, अपील ने नहीं किया तो आप कमिश्नर के यहाँ जाएंगे, कमिश्नर ने नहीं किया तो आप ट्राइब्यूनल में जाएंगे, ट्राइब्यूनल नहीं किया आप हाई कोर्ट जाएंगे, सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे। इससे ना संजय मयूख को मतलब है, डॉक्टर पात्रा को मतलब है, ना मुझे मतलब है, ना भाजपा को मतलब है। दिस इज ए रूटीन टैक्स प्रोसेस। और राहुल गांधी ने सफेद झूठ क्यों बोला है, यह आज देश को भाजपा के राष्ट्रीय मंच से जाना जरूरी है। हर जगह उनका स्टे रिजेक्ट हुआ, उस पेनाल्टी में अकाउंट फ्रीज हुए, टैक्स नहीं दिया, और वो झूठ बोले आज।
Okay, Vineet Goenka, just before I come to you, a piece of political news. The BJP has just announced the name of Mr. Annamalai as their candidate from Coimbatore. Mohan, I thought that might interest you. Tamil Nadu, of course, voting in the first phase. Now, Vineet Goenka, to return to the debate that we were having. Go ahead, Vineet ji.
Barkha, Ram Ram to you, Ram Ram to all my co-panelists and all the viewers who are watching me right now. Now, in this entire discussion of the last 30 minutes, I've heard 3 tracks. One, about bond. Second is the Congress playing victim card that they have been frozen with funds, and third is the entire mechanism of funding is flawed. So let me first address the Congress part. Now, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to file a return. Even if you don't have income, you're supposed to file a 0 return. If you have some income, you have some way of receipts of money, you're supposed to declare what is the way you have got the money. If there is a surplus or a profit, you are supposed to pay the tax. You don't do that. You don't do that because you think that you're the oldest party who can touch you. And when you get notice, you overlook that notice. When the notice is served with supplementary notice, you yet overlook that. And then you say, I've been victimized. When did the first notice come to you? You have to tell to the people. 7 years. All these 7 years, this mother and the son, they were quiet, enjoying what they had earned in their era very nicely. Now, after 7 years, when they exhausted all their remedies and the funds got fridged, they cry for the democracy is in danger. Are the citizens of this country fools? When was the first notice been served to Congress? Why didn't the Congress submit their returns? What is the reason they have not submitted the returns? Why didn't they pay the tax? Whether the tax was 1 rupee or whether the tax was 100 crore rupees. I don't know, but they should have paid that. What was the reason they were holding it? A. So Congress should not play this victim. Number two, when you are about to be defeated, when the defeat is unavoidable, then you start playing the victim card. EVMs are not good. Then you start playing the victim card. Then the taxman has freezed my accounts. Now let me come to the bond part. In the bond part, Barkha ji, Bharatiya Janata Party got more than 6,900 crore rupees as per your records. I don't have the records. But Congress got more than 1,300 crore rupees. Why did they receive this money? If this money was tainted, they should not have received it. Now let me tell your audience, Bharatiya Janata Party got more than 37.36% of the votes casted in 2019, whereas Congress only got 19.49% of the votes. If the corporates were aware that this party has not got the mandate, they do not even half the mandate of Bharatiya Janata Party, why would they donate the money? Was this a quid pro quo of saying some past understanding? Was this because they wanted to do a quid pro for the future understanding? Why would somebody pay? A common man, somebody like me who has never been able to see a crore rupees in the life.
What quid pro quo could they give if they're not in government? I mean, at state levels they can, but not at state.
Yeah. Let me complete my sentence. I'll make the meaning, Barkha ji. A person like me who has never seen a single crore rupees in one go, I won't donate 5 rupees to somebody if I'm sure that they're not going to win next 10 years. Why would this intelligent corporate CFOs and the CEOs and the MDs pay this money, which is more than 1,300 crore rupees, to a Congress which is absolutely hopeless right now? Absolutely hopeless Congress. So then you have to ask a question to these people. So let me complete. I'm impatiently waiting for 30 minutes. From since my childhood. Number two, when they were receiving money, they had not. And on to comment on the IPS officer, Mr. Jha, the money was legal, sir. It was as per the law of the government. ROC or any other people, they were all okay with the law till the Supreme Court has struck it. So do not call it as to be illegal money. They paid it because there was a sovereign rule behind this that you can give the money. Was the money declared by those corporate in their balance sheets? Answer is yes. They did not declare the name of the recipient political party, but they had to declare their money, unlike the Congress, which has not declared their income tax. So they always declare that they have donated this money to some political party, which they did not tell. Just because they did not tell that, they have not become black money. Number two, now everybody has raised issues which are beyond the discussion. Let me also raise one more issue, Barkha. When I hear Supreme Court talking about transparency and especially coming up and striking down some sovereign law, I am very happy that the Supreme Court is really powerful, which can go against this government. I only request through your channel to Supreme Court, let there be a transparency and appointment of the judges also. I rest my case here.
Okay, we've gone into a different direction. And by the way, as we are talking, the unique ID numbers are up. This is what I'm being told by my producers, and while we're still talking, we'll have some details. But my suspicion is that it's going to take a little bit of work by us to match the alphanumerical numbers. But let me bring in Mohan and then Ashwini Mahajan, and then I'll come back.
Permit me one line.
Yes. Okay. Sure.
So to the gentleman from the Congress is very learned, and I'm sure he will help me to understand more. A very sharp guy. All these months, Rahul Gandhi ji was taking name of two big companies, two big conglomerates. अडानी अंबानी का पैसा कितना पैसा दिया किसको देख लीजिए उन्होंने लोग भी तो देखते हैं कोतरोची ने क्या दिया था ये भी बता दीजिए बस इतना छोटा सा रिक्वेस्ट है तो देयर इज अ ओल्ड सेइंग सर चोर मचाए शोर
Okay, here's the question to you, Mohan. You said you're in opposition, so you can't possibly offer a quid pro quo. Going by the fact that the Trinamool has actually received the second largest amount of bonds, that state governments are powerful, and the Congress, has been at the helm of several state governments in the period of the bonds. One. Second. Why does Rahul Gandhi make everything a democracy debate? Why are we back in the familiar weeds of India is not a democracy, ye jhoot hai, ye democracy nahi hai? Do you not think it does a disservice to your party where instead of arguing on the facts in front of you, there's an extrapolation? As if with different amount of funds, your electoral performance would be different. Is that the argument you're making?
Barkha, I mean, it goes without saying that resources are important to fight in any election. There's so much stuff being said, so I will address your question, but let me go to Mr. Goenka's rantings is no better word for it, frankly. First of all, political parties pay income tax. So I don't know what he was going on about when he said that, why haven't you paid your tax? Why haven't you paid your tax? Second, this notice that's come that Mr. Markin held up today is from Mr. Sitaram Kestri's time. Okay, so this is the first notice we've gotten now. So again, I don't know what he was about with first notice, second notice, third notice. Made a lot of accusations about Mrs. Gandhi and her son enjoying money and now paying the victim card. Just look at the pattern of the last 3 months alone. I mean, listen, there is enough data out there to tell you that 95% of all cases that the EDI, the CBI, the ED and the CBI filed against politicians are against opposition politicians. So what does that tell you? And if you're going to say compare with UPA, it was 60%, then you can look at that math as well. This government has used whatever coercive means possible to squeeze the opposition. There are so many leaders of the opposition who have been blackmailed or incentivized or any which way they can to move over to their side. And now finally, when everything else is over, they are now freezing bank accounts. And, the penalty should be commensurate to the crime, right? If, Barkha, you miss your filing of income taxes and you have, let's say, a 5 lakh penalty, they're not going to seize your house. So, I mean, that's the data that I started with, saying that on a maximum when you are late on filing your returns, because even if you don't pay income tax, you have to file your returns on time. If you are late in filing your returns, its maximum penalty is about 10,000, right? And even for the amount that they're saying there's a discrepancy in, which is cash collected, was only 0.07% of the total balance. How do you put 210 crore lien on it? And then you give for everybody, even if you don't ask for it, you pay 20% deposit of the penalty and you are allowed to take the rest of the money. There's a stay on the freeze. But for some reason, the Congress party doesn't get that. The appellate tribunal says, no, we won't give that to you. And there is timing to everything. The reason that we are going into an election, with all due respect to the learned spokesperson from the Swadeshi Jagran Manch, he got a notice. Even I've gotten notices in the past, right? But that's not, the timing of this notice is very important. And the punitive action taken right as we're going into the election. If you freeze the primary national opposition's account, what do you think is going to happen to this election? How is it a free and fair election?
Okay.
Now, why Mr. Gandhi? It's not the first time that Mr. Gandhi said that democracy is under threat. He's been saying it for a while. The BJP seems intent to prove him right with every action they're taking. They're just making it sure. They're making sure that they prove him right.
Let me get in Ashwini Mahajan and then Yashozad, and then I'll come to you, Vineet, in that order. Ashwini ji, this 2-3 points have been made, including Mr. Azad making a very strong statement saying कि election ही नहीं होनी चाहिए because they're all bankrolled by what he's calling dirty money. You have the exact opposite view. You are saying it's because of the bonds, and Yashko, that's something to consider. It's because of the bonds that today we know that there is a man called Santiago Martin. He has spent 1,368 crores. There is a mega engineering. It has spent over 600, actually 1,200 crores, and so on. Agar bonds nahi hote, to hame ye pata bhi nahi hota. But Ashwini Mahajan, are you making, I understand you don't want to go back to cash, but are you making a case for anonymous electoral bonds? Why should they be anonymous? देखिए, parties को मालूम है किसने दिया है पैसा, because DMK, AIADMK have released the entities. जब parties को मालूम है तो quid pro को तो उसमें स्क्रिप्ट में लिखा हुआ है ना. मैं हर पार्टी की बात कर रही हूँ, not about any one party.
मेरे यहाँ मैंने तो नहीं कहा कि anonymous होना चाहिए. मैंने तो ये कहा.
मैं पूछ रही हूँ. हाँ.
मैंने I said this thing that electoral bonds was an improvement over the earlier system of cash, where you never knew how much money has been given to Indira Gandhi, how much money has been given to Rajiv Gandhi. Nobody knew. But now, I told you, sooner or later, all these things are going to come out because judiciary is on it, and obviously political parties will also not be inclined to hide the information. And what I'm saying is that if you have an electoral bond system, an improved one, within quotes, improved ones, where everything is transparent, nothing is opaque, that is going to be the best system. And these and you see why I should pay to the Congress party when I don't like it. I'm talking from anybody's point of view. Suppose I don't like the schemes and the policies of any political party, I may not be inclined to pay. And therefore, no other system. You see, there can be somebody can say that, okay, let this all money coming from all sources, whosoever wants to donate for the election purposes should come in one corpus, and that should be distributed among the parties. It is not possible. So the only way forward is that political parties should be allowed to collect money, and it should be all legal money. I'm really disturbed by such words that you see, whatever new arrangement or an improvement is there, we say it is ultra virus, or it is something wrong. No, we have to keep on improving. Ours is the largest democracy in the world, and we have to improve the
Yeah.
system of collection. And therefore, what I feel is that all the names should be transparently available. It should be put on the websites of every political party from where the money is coming. And I think that is going to be the best system so far as the election.
I have to say, I agree with you that instead of now spending the next few hours that we're going to be spending, Ashwini ji, matching number to number of purchaser to redeemer, it would have been so much easier if the parties had just released the names, but that has not happened. So hamara kaam mushkil ho gaya yahan par. But Yashozad, I think Ashwini ji makes an important point. A better version of bonds has to be better than cash funding. A better version of electoral bonds has to be better than Harshad Mehta suitcases. Mr. Azad?
मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि अश्विनी जी ने, जो मैंने पहले कहा, मेरी बात का बहुत ही पुरजोर समर्थन किया है। मैंने बराबर कहा, किसने किसको कब और कितना पैसा दिया, ये सबको मालूम होना चाहिए। ये आरटीआई के अंडर सबका अधिकार। मैं 4 पॉइंट्स से बहुत ही जल्दी आपको बताना चाहूंगा। मुझे ऐसा आभास होता है कि विनीत जी के और अश्विनी जी के कहने से कि लगता है कि हमारे जो कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं वो बड़े दानी हैं, बहुत दूसरों के बारे में सोचते हैं। 1% 40% की संपत्ति है उनके पास, वो आइडियोलॉजी के आधार पे पैसा दे। इसीलिए चूंकि कांग्रेस पावर में नहीं है, तभी वो उनको पैसा दे रहे हैं। वास्तविकता ये है, and everyone knows this reality. If the other parties are getting, they have their important bases in certain areas, and that's how Kevinters and other people give money. If, for example, Barkha, if we have a secret poll amongst these so-called philanthropist corporates, how much money would you like to give for these elections? They will say 0. If you ask them how much money would you like to fund these various parties, they'll say none. We would like to get some from them. Second point, why I'm saying that the legal money is a complicated terminology, and please listen to my argument. I totally agree when you say कि वो पैसा लीगल था जब उन्होंने दिया, लेकिन आप ये देखिए, टाइमिंग देखिए, जब ईडी के रेड्स हुए हैं, ईडी ने उनके एसेट्स अटैच किए हैं, that means that company is tainted, right? We are using that money for funding the parties. Should it be allowed? No, I don't think so. Anybody will say ये सही नहीं है। इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं, तीसरी बात जो मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारा सिस्टम जो फंडिंग का है इस तरह चलता रहेगा। Why? Because our politics starts from tehsils and thanas and courts and कचहरीज। तो जो जहां स्ट्रांग रहेगा उसको पैसा मिलेगा। पहले भी जो पार्टी पावर में थी उसको पैसा ज्यादा मिलता था, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इलेक्टरल बॉन्ड सिस्टम अश्विनी जी ने इंप्रूव नहीं किया। रूलिंग पार्टी जब भी आएगी उसको ज्यादा मिलेगा। इसलिए जो हमारे ऑपोजिशन पार्टीज हैं ये नहीं कह रहे हैं कि ये सिस्टम खराब है, कह रहे हैं तुमको क्यों ज्यादा मिल रहा है, क्योंकि जब वो आएंगे उनको ज्यादा मिलेगा, फिर आप कहेंगे इसके बारे में। That's why I'm saying, Barkha, I have a problem with the basic principle of it. This is a wrong way to fund. In America, for example, आप एक डिनर करते हैं, 2000 रुपए का या 10,000 रुपए का डिनर देते हैं, सब लोग उसको खाते हैं, जाते हैं, जिनको देना है देना है। ये बात कहना कि हमें तो डर लगता है कि दूसरी पार्टी हमारे खिलाफ क्या करेगी और नहीं करेगी। Isn't it openly known which corporate gets the license for what and how much it has paid? Everyone knows. Even people know today which are the public representatives who are funded by which corporates, and they also know which public representatives are honest.
Okay. I see the point that you're making. And before I give Mohan and Ashwini ji a quick last word, Vineet ji, अब एक कंपनी उठाते हैं क्विक सप्लाई, राइट, वन ऑफ द कंपनीज, या एक दूसरी है मदन लाल प्राइवेट लिमिटेड. अगर आप इनकी प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट्स देखें, एंड आई थिंक वी हैव बोथ ऑफ दीज स्लाइड्स समवेयर, तो इनकी प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट्स में इन क्विक सप्लाईज केस देयर इज अ 22 crores profit, but you're buying bonds worth 410 crores. In Madan Lal Private Limited, your company is in loss, but you're buying bonds worth, I think, 180 crores. I'm just saying this from memory, so 1 crore, 2 crores might be off. These are money clearly coming from somewhere else. So if the idea of the bonds was to get rid of dodgy money, that hasn't happened. I can see Ashwini Mahajan's point that let's have a better version of bonds. But not all of this is kosher, right? Would you grant that?
Well, this was discussed in the Supreme Court, and I'm sure there will be some solution which will come up, and also people who have given money more than their income have to answer this. But let me address one thing which Honorable Mohanji said. You know, Mohanji, when you were speaking, you actually displayed the mindset of the colonial Gora master who formed Congress and the dynasty who continues.
How? Why are we being so personal? But anyway, make your argument on the issue, and then I'll get Mohan to respond.
No, let me answer to this and why I'm saying so. I never used any in my earlier first conversation. I addressed him very respectfully, and whatever he said, I addressed him very specially. The moment he said ranting, it displayed the colonial mindset of a dynasty who thinks that by birth they have right to rule this country, and if they have been denied that right by the people of the citizens, they will call others ranting. Sir, what I submitted is my understanding. Yes, maybe you are foreign educated, so your understanding may be better, sir. But let me tell you once again, you are the person who has not filed the returns. You are non-compliant. Because of that, the department has given you notice. So hiding behind the garb that, you know, the penalty was only 10,000 rupees, it should have been appropriate to the crime. You are a criminal. The moment you do a crime, you're a criminal. Small criminal, big criminal. You are a criminal. So please admit that. And two, do not ever try with a common citizen like me to show off your, you know, dynasty mindset. I will not bow down to this particular part. A. B. You will have to answer to this country. What happened? Why did Katroji go out? What is Augusta Wetlands? Why did you get 1,000 crore rupees for a useless president or a past president who has no signs of controlling the party? You know, so if you try to insert a common citizen here, we will also use harsh.
Okay. No. Let's no one insult anyone.
That means
let
that
us
understandings which were there. So please, sir, one, never get personal, and never get personal like people like me who do not have anything to lose, even if you come in power. A. B. Tell us, why didn't you file the returns? Aren't you a criminal when you don't oblige?
Okay, let Mohan Kumaramangalam answer that, and hope let's no one insult anyone. I like to think my programs.
I never wanted to do that.
Okay. So let's step back. Let's step back from that brink, and let's just in last comments talk about the issue. As I'm speaking to you, we are matching the numbers of the purchaser and the redeemer of the bonds. Ashwini Mahajan is right. By the end of day today, you will know kisne kisko kya diya. You will know it. There's no hiding it now, right? Point is, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं Mohan, sorry to say Hindi to a Tamilian, इस हमाम में सब नंगे हैं. Everyone is naked in this public bath, right? Roughly translated. That's the point. If electoral bonds are problematic morally, then everybody has been complicit in that problem. Now, last thoughts, and then I'll give Ashwini Mahajan the last word.
I'll choose not to respond to the
yes, please,
and I'll
please.
stay on point here. And I'll say that हमाम में सब नंगे नहीं है. Let me just tell you that when the electoral bonds were passed as a legislation, as a money bill, they didn't even allow us to debate it. That we were strictly against it from the very beginning. But because what it does is that it gives the incumbent a huge advantage, who obviously has insight into what is happening, since it's the state bank CEOs and chairmen that report to the finance ministry anyway. They're not really autonomous. So I am completely in favor of a mechanism where it is completely transparent on who is donating to whom. And whatever purpose comes out of that, whether that person's in government or in opposition, will be there for all to see. This is how the US works, as Mr. Azad said, right? You have lobbyists. You have people who donate pretty openly. There is no black money there. I don't think it'll get rid of black money altogether in elections. I'm talking as someone who's fought 2 elections and I've seen it on the ground. It's extremely hard to get rid of this thing in our society. But I think in terms of, quid pro quo, eliminating it, it would make it much easier. And as far as, the earlier comment on whether the Ambanis or Adanis are involved in this, you mentioned a company that basically is a front for one of those 2 companies, the QFix one, where they have a common director. So they're finding more creative ways to make sure their name is hidden. That will always be the case. But at the very least, let everybody know everything. I am in complete favor of that kind of transparency.
So, Ashwini Mahajan, can we end on a note of agreement on that? By the way, for the record, I must say that Reliance has denied links with Quick Supply, but indeed, Tapas Mitra is, if I'm remembering his name correctly, is one of the common directors, leading to the speculation that that there is a link. Also, a kind of Quick Supply's real mystery is an unclear balance sheet. If 22 crores is your profit, how are you spending so much money buying 410 crores of bonds? Very quickly, Ashwini Mahajan, what is the better version of the bonds? आपने अभी इस पे column लिखा है. Would you agree with Mohan? Let the people know किसने किसको कितना दिया. Let the people know.
First of all, we must give credit to this government for introducing a system which was, in any case, better than the earlier cash system. And the next step, obvious step, which the judiciary has shown is that you have to declare the names. Now it will be open, because it will be open for the corporates whether to give or not to give, because they will always be accused of quid pro quo. Even corporates also have to explain. You see, so therefore it will be a very, very clean system, and I would say that every day we do some improvement, and we are a large democracy, and I have a great faith that only with democracy we can grow, we can develop, and in this way, the second path, the path which is being shown by the Honorable Supreme Court, that we have to clearly announce, declare on our websites. If it happens, I think Supreme Court will also agree on this, that electoral bonds is the only way forward.
Okay, we'll leave it there, because I have to now go through documents, hundreds of pages of data to match purchaser to redeemer. I wish कि हमारा काम बचा के parties खुद ही publish कर देते.
Time.
जी sir. हाँ जी.
Why to waste time? Why to waste time? Everybody will do it, and you will get the information.
Chaliye, we'll go now into the weeds of those documents. Thank you very much, Ashwini Mahajan, Vineet Goenka, Yasho Azad, and Mohan Kumar Manglam. Stand by for more details on the electoral bonds. We are now in a position to finally match the numbers of the purchaser and the redeemer. So many more interesting stories coming up in just a moment. Thank you for watching. Take care. Mojo Story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.